Okay, you guys, it's 90 days from here to Dallas, and I've always found you get people to do things in spurts, and the 90 days is a good one. There's an old saying, 90 days of pain for a lifetime of gain. And if I had to leave you guys with a few things that you could really focus on, the first one, going back, is just to really focus on the 8-point system. And if I had to really focus on the 8-point system, there's a few things I'd really focus on. Number one is the 2-a-day exposure. And I would do that with third-party tools, and I would mainly do that with a third-party magazine. And if we could just get you and everybody in your organization driving the 2-a-day model, it's a very simple model, and you can do it with any kind of tool. You can do it with an Nowcom, whatever you want to do it with. But you did it with the magazine, I think that's the most ultimate way to do it. But if you do that, in my opinion, is the number one thing you can do to drive your business. Because of that's why we came up with the auto delivery program. That's why we came up with the $5,000 guarantee, because we're putting our money where our belief is, okay? And so if you trust in us, believe me, I think that's the one thing that could duplicate the organization in depth, in distance, and really give your organization the best chance to have success. And so what I'd ask you to do going out of here, for the next 90 days, you just kind of trust in that. Try just instilling your organization 2-a-day exposures, 5 days a week. I would go 7 days a week right now. Right now is a great time to just get a little fanatical. I've always said about success that, quite honestly, you don't just casually become successful, you fanatically become successful. That's always found. So 2 a day, but I've always said 2 a day, 10 in play. And let me explain to you what I mean by 10 in play. You know, what I always like to do, and this is, if you really hear this is what I did. And it's a simple shift in things, but it can have a huge impact on your organization, especially when it duplicates in your organization, when it duplicates down in your organization. What I mean is, if somebody makes a decision to get started, remember, they're new, they got a job, they got a family, they got hobbies, they got other endeavors, and we got this packet we're going to give to them, okay, to get started. But if you will just step in and do a little of the heavy lifting at first, you're going to be amazed what happens. What I mean by that is that you will sit with them and make their list of the 10 best people that they want to share this opportunity product with. And you make it happen. Let me tell you what I used to do back when. You can do it differently now. But I literally had all the tools. Back then it was, videos and brochures. And they would get those 10, and I would literally take the responsibility. I would pay for them. I had the packets. I had them all stacked up. And I would put them all together, we would make the notes, and I would send them out. See, here's what most people do, is they say, make a list, get the tools, and send them out. Well, guess what happens? The job gets in the way, the family gets in the way, the hobbies get in the way, and their negative brain gets in the way, and all these things get in the way, and it doesn't happen. And when they start out, there's height of enthusiasm, and it just diminishes and diminishes and diminishes, and it never happens. What I want to do is eliminate that. I want to get them at the height of enthusiasm, and I want to get those 10 names, and I take responsibility getting those packages out. I take the financial responsibility, the physical responsibility, and I do it, okay? But that does for me is amazing things, because number one, it happens. It happens in the first 48 hours of them getting involved in the business, okay? But it does the most amazing thing. First of all, the 10 happens. 100% of the times the 10 happens, versus if you leave it alone, it happens maybe, if you brought in 5 people and you left it alone, you might get 5, 6, 7 packages out. If you brought in 5 people and do it each time, you'll get 50 packages out, because you take care of it, okay? If you leave it alone, it just doesn't happen, because life gets in the way. Their enthusiasm goes down, their job gets in the way, their family gets in the way, their hobbies get in the way, and it just goes away. So you take responsibility. But the neatest thing that happens is this. It's an amazing twist on what happens. When a person gets in, they're not in. They've stepped in, but they're basically are renting that space, is what they're doing. And they're in, okay? And things start going on. And when they're in, but they're still judging. And all of this input's coming in from all around them. Okay, because they're now starting to share it, and they're starting to get, what most of the responses are going to be negative, because that's most of the world is what? Negative, okay? So they're getting this stuff, and they're still actually in the thinking about it mode. But if you get those 10 and you send them out, they immediately shift from thinking about it to learning about it, because they realize, oh my God, it's happened. They're out, they're gone. I'm not thinking about this deal anymore. I got to get ready to do it. They go from strategizing to getting ready to implement. It's a big shift in their energy. And so it changes the whole psychic of them to kind of evaluating to doing. So the thing is, so a couple of things that happened for me. Number one, I got those 10 out versus depending on them, which probably averaged 1 or 2 got out. I shifted them from thinking about it or evaluating it, which means they're evaluating what other people are bombarding them with stuff, okay, to, hey, I got to get ready. These 10 things are gone out, and I got to get ready. So I've told them, we're going to get these 10 out, and I'm going to help follow up with you, which gives them comfort, okay? And so I do that, and so what's the best thing? I should be doing that because where they're at their highest level of anxiety, their lowest level of knowledge. I'm at a different level. My knowledge is up, my anxiety is down. The other thing is I'm third party, they're first party. I mean, every 10 persons these are going out to had no idea they knew anything about skin. You know what I'm saying? And now they show up a week later, and if they send out those same 10 packages and they follow up, what happens? Well, wouldn't you know anything about skin? But if I show up, I'm the third party expert. I will always be more powerful with their organization than they'll be powerful in their own organization. My mom will listen to you before she'll listen to me. Your mom will listen to me before they'll listen to you. It's just the way it is, okay? Third party, it just works that way. So when those 10 get out and I step in there, I immediately got into a market where I have more influence than the market that they have influence on. It's just the power of third party. So immediately I expanded my influence from 1 person to 10 people. They got out. I stepped into the expert role. I'm helping them, and I say, you follow me because this is what you're going to be doing down the road. And so then immediately I'm into those 10. I'm following up, helping them with 3-way calls or at meetings or doing results parties, whatever's going on. But I'm in there as the expert, and I'm more effective than they can be as the friend. And that's just the way it is, okay? These rules aren't 100%. You get some people absolutely just have influence, okay? And they can do it on their own. That's not most of the time. Most of the time, you'll have more influence than they have influence. Now, when I do that, I immediately have expanded my warm market to 10 new people where I'm an expert. Whereas this person's warm market is 10 people where they're considered like, what'd you get into this time? You understand that? It's a real, real big shift. Now, think about it. Now, here's where it gets really critical, okay? How many times does a person have to be exposed to make a decision? About 5 times. So we have 10 people times 5, that's 50 exposures. They need to go down, right? And you're going to leave your future in the hands of somebody who's got a job, got a family, got a hobbies, out of their comfort zone, never done this before, is totally susceptible to any negative influence, okay? And you need 50 exposures to go down, and you walk away. This is a disaster about ready to happen, okay? Because you got a first-party person who doesn't know what they're doing, who's out of their comfort zone, still's not really sold out, operating in a first-party position where they don't have influence, who's going to do what? Probably not average, will not average across those 10, probably won't average more than 2 times. Do you agree? Most times they back out on the first one, do they not? Okay, but you were just given gold here. You were just given 10 names that you invested in, you got them out, that's 10 times 5 exposures that you need to get in there, and there in there is the gold. That's where I lived. That's what I did. That's all I did all the time. That people used to say to me, well, I run out of people to talk to. I go, how do you run out of people to talk to? Because this here, these 10, turns into, if I'm any good, at least another 2, okay, that turns into 20, turns into, now times 5, 100 exposures. I can't keep up with the work I was doing as I was mining. I never could keep up. I never got more than about 30% through my warm market list. Never did. I made my initial list and never got down into it that far. Because I was so busy over here that I couldn't get, I didn't need anything more over here because I was more powerful over here than I was over here. And I was teaching these people how to work through people to get into a space where they're more powerful, because you're always more powerful in somebody else's market than you are in your market. Now don't take this 100%. There's some people I can walk up to and go, I got in, you get in, buddy. Done, Jeff, we're in. Okay, we got that kind of relationship. But that's not how it is most of the time. But still, even when I go to somebody where I have that tight relationship, it's nice to have my third-party expert, because third party is just more powerful than first party. Plus, I know the game and I can answer the questions. But that's more duplicatable, if you understand that, okay? If you get that one simple thing, it can leverage your business immensely. And so understand, you know, in sales, what they always tell you is you'd rather have referrals than you would rather have a sale. You'd always have referrals. You'd rather get a sale or 5 referrals. Good people in sales will say 5 referrals. What that tells you is what is more important is the relationship with that person than the sale. The only way you get a referral if a person respects you and thinks that you are safe with their friends. You get that? They trust you. You've built a relationship so they feel that you are safe with their friends. So what you have to do, when Mark was talking about me in that game plan interview, when you're sitting down with that person, you're trying to make them feel comfortable about you so they're comfortable that you're with their friends. But here's where it gets more important. Now let's just say you have those 10 people, and you're gonna do your first exposure across the line. Okay, those first 10 go out, and you're engaging. You know, now your new person doesn't know this, but you know it takes 5 exposures on average, so some are gonna be 8, some are gonna be 2, right? Exposures. So what does that mean, the most important thing you do on your first exposure? That you do it in a kind, loving, caring, sharing way so they're open when you come back for number 2. See, the thing people do, they do it so aggressively, number 1, that the people don't want you back at number 2. You gotta understand, you need to be getting this person where they're open to 5 exposures from you. And so they need to perceive you as a nice, loving, caring, sharing, hey, okay, I know you're not your place and time, I just wanna share this information with you. And that should be just growing and growing. This is why you gotta get organized. If you don't have charts on your walls and things all lined out, you're not in this game, because this is a business. And it's gonna take about 5 exposures for every person. Some are gonna be 8, some are gonna be 2. And so you gotta be charting all that, and you gotta be knowing what you're sending and when they sent it. You gotta be doing that. And so if you're just getting somebody's list of, because here's what happens most of the time. I get in, make a list, and go to your first 10. So that means they maybe do that. No way they do it in their first week, because they got to order their tools. You should have your tools sitting at your house, right? By the time they show up, they've lost their enthusiasm. But maybe let's just say they do send out the 10, which doesn't really happen. They still haven't been trained, so they hit those people once. They don't realize it takes 5 times. They get some negative feedback, and they turn off, or else they close the door on their first exposure because how they treated that one, so the door's not open for number 2, and you just left a gold mine that would just keep on going and going and going if you get the game you're in. I've always said, know the game you're in. And what I'm just telling you is I don't know how a person runs out of people to talk to. It's impossible to me. Because if I just get to one person, get to 10, I will never leave that vein. It just grows and it grows and it grows, and it just gets so big that it's impossible. And the thing is, the point I'm trying to get across here is, if you will take responsibility getting those first 10 out, okay, if you'll take responsibility to be involved in helping them through those first 50 exposures and those 10, if you'll be responsible for making sure those exposures happen in ways so the door's open for number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, you'll be amazed what happens to you. That little shift in attitude there, which requires discipline, which requires organization, okay, can explode your business. I'll tell you what doesn't work very well. Get a person in who's at their highest level of anxiety, lowest level of knowledge, and hand them a book and say, go get them. You know, we got 10 in play. That means you just go out and expose 10 people. That's cool. It doesn't work very well, and it doesn't duplicate at all. And it's almost like a flame that just burns itself out. You know, it just kind of runs out eventually. If you'll do it the way I'm talking about, you can just get into a vein. Sometimes that vein dries up. Sometimes there's a situation where this person doesn't have the right relationships, something's weird, and it just kind of burns itself out, and it doesn't get there. That didn't happen very often for me at all. I could always find somewhere in there, and all of a sudden a relationship built, and boom, we were going. So what I would do, if I had a person I was working with, I just started doing it, and all I did is I just kept doing that until I found one, boom, solid person. I mean, the one that just lit up, listened to everything, was learning everything I was doing, and then I locked in on that person. And my whole goal, and I might bounce around all over here like a ping pong ball, okay? But I found that one that finally they got it. They were on the call, they were listening. You could just tell they were gonna be able to do what I was doing and within the next 30 days or so. And that boom was boom. We just literally, I always said, when they went to bed, their significant other, they kissed them goodnight and they rolled over and kissed me goodnight. We were solid locked in, okay? And that's where I lived. And I lived there until that person I felt was confident I could let go. And they now were 10 in, and they were just going right down the thing, okay? And so what happened is everybody in here, that person locked on, everybody here, I didn't have to worry about them. Because this person took off, they're all going to light up because of this person, or they're going to go away. And this person's going to take care of the rest, so I don't have to worry about this part. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm just looking. All I ever did was just mind the vein until I found one. And then I just locked in. Boom, they became my core. We locked in together until they understood it. We had our language. We understood. I could do this training. They could repeat my words before I finished the sentence. We knew the game. We could talk shorthand on the phone. We always say that. We got to learn how to talk shorthand on the phone. I hate people who go blah, 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 blah on the phone. Shorthand is go, go, go on the phone, okay? Because we're going, okay? And they're doing the same thing. And that's how I found my people. My whole goal was always to go down till I found one, down till I found one. I got lucky every once in a while, and it was a person I sponsored. Very few times was the person I sponsored, okay? It was always down, locked. And then my whole goal is I could find 5. And I use that number, how I did it. I do 5, and then I just helped them find their 5, and I was done. That was it. And people are always asking, when I used to have organizations in the hundreds of thousands of people, I always said, they go, how big is your organization? I go, 30 people. I know 30 people really, really well. And out of that, I know about 5, 6, or 7 really well. And that was all I did. And that would just turn into an army, okay? But it has to start with you. So I'm just telling you guys, this business is so, I always say the word master the mundane, slow down to go fast. Where do you think those words came from? That right there. All that is slowing down to go fast. Mastering the mundane. Versus what people are doing, just throwing stuff out there and hoping something works. You know, get in, and here's the kit, go get it. New brand partner training, you're trained. No, you're not. You're acclimated, barely, okay? And I would rather do the work with you than depend on you to do it. That's all I did. I just got down into a person, just stayed with them and worked with them, got into their organization, worked down. It was a very simple thing. Whether somebody else, or me personally, I had to say, out of the millions and millions of dollars made in this industry, I'd have to say 70% plus of it came from people I didn't know. 80% plus of it came from people I didn't know before I got in the industry. And then come from my warm market list. It came from other lists and people I bumped into restaurants or games or wherever where you just start talking to people, okay? But understand it's going to take about 5 exposures, so you got to keep that door open. Third party is always more powerful than first party, and it's easier to work over here. But one of the biggest things is if you get those first 10 exposures out the door, you shift their thinking from evaluating to doing. Do you all get that? Okay, I beat that one up enough. Okay, it's good stuff, guys. You do it. Simple. I mean, you can just sit in your underwear at home 10 hours a day and get rich if you just get this part. Bam, 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 working it, okay? Okay. Real results parties, guys. I'm excited about the real results party. We've hit that hard today. Mark and Tam, I can't thank you enough for that. I'll just say this one thing. You have got to get those Fast Start packets and get in people's hands. You can copy them in the back office. That's okay. There's nothing more powerful than that feel and that look and that professionalism. It's no different. Our kit creates value. That packet creates value. People put value on what you put value on. You get that? If you download it, that's not putting value on it. If you have this in your hand, that puts value on it. They're going to do what you do. So if somebody long distance, you FedEx it to them. So if you FedEx something in that packet, they get the next day, there you go. There must be a value on this. This is a business. You got to invest in your business. There's a return on investment. That packet's everything. Now, again, this is back to the same thing as that one person and getting the 10 out, and you do it for them. It's the same thing here. You don't just give it to them. You get that to them, then you slow down to go fast. You master the mundane. You go through that in detail with them. What's the most important thing you go through that? As you go through that packet with them, besides setting up the real results party, right, is going to do what? Get the first 10 out. If that's all you ever did, it's just focus and train your team on taking that packet because it has the planner in it and it has the package in it for the real results party. If you just mastered those 2 things, you got that Fast Start packet, you got the planner, which you're going to take them through and acclimate them, okay? The most important thing is the list, and I got the 90-day plan, how you're going to work that list, those 10. So that's to get those 10 out there. And over here, you got the Real Results Party. You get those scheduled, and you either do it with them personally, which is the most powerful one, or Skype or on the phone. So that's it right there. But the thing is, do not just hand it to them and say, go get them. Hand it to them and say, I'm with you through your first Real Results Parties. I'm with you through your first 10 exposures, okay? If you do that, again, slow down to go fast, master the mundane, your business will explode. It's not that complicated, okay? So the second thing I say on the 90-day run, besides the 2 in play, is the Real Results Party. And the last one I'm excited about, and I really want to get this concept across to you, is on the Real Results Regionals we got. You saw that schedule, and it's going to grow. That list of national market directors up here who are going to travel across the country, who know this business pretty darn well, and to get out there and share the opportunity and then train on how to do it around the country. You got hundreds of these that are going to be done for you. So if you can build in your local market, and then from there you can expand in your regional and out to national. But here, let me show you how I always train to work it. Try and get out in front. You got to get good at, if you somehow communicate with your group, and they got to be looking 3 weeks out all the time. Always working 3 weeks out. And always start, if sometimes you just miss it and you got to start working 2 weeks out or 1 week out. But the most optimal way to work a regional, if there's a regional 3 weeks out from now in let's just say Springfield, Missouri. May 11th, is that about right? May 11th, about 3 weeks out? Yeah. So 3 weeks out, Springfield, Missouri, and I'm around the country. What I'm going to start doing is working that market, sending out packets, sending out information, okay? Because it does what? It takes me about 5 exposures to make a decision. Well, I'm working out in front because I want to get the person in before the event, not at the event. I don't want to use the event to recruit somebody. I want to use the event to launch somebody. Big difference. I don't want to use a regional to recruit somebody. I want to use a regional to launch somebody. So if I can get somebody involved 2 weeks or a week before the regional, then I can work with them so they can have 2, 3, or 4 or 5 people with them at the regional, so that when Eric shows up at the regional, they launch their business versus get in the business. You can see the huge, huge shift in that. Huge shift. And so how I use that is when I'm talking to people 2 or 3 weeks out from that, I'm saying there's no better time to get in now because we have a launching event coming up. We have a regional where you can launch your business. You need to get involved now so I can help you get 2 or 3 or 4 people going with you to that event then so that you can launch their business. Huge difference. Because all of a sudden, it's a difference between a person that gets in at a regional is all excited versus the people is at a regional with 3 or 4 people beside them. Do you know the learning curve that goes on? You get somebody involved 2 weeks before an event, and you're working with them to get 4 or 5 people ready for that Springfield event. The learning curve they're going through because they're doing it with you. And also learning curve, all of a sudden, when you're showing up with a team, you have a different attitude, that regional, than when you're showing up as to be recruited versus showing up to launch your business. So use it as a reason for a person to make a decision now, get started now, okay? So that they, and it is, you understand, none of this is trickery. This is the best thing you could do. Do you think if I'm sitting there and I know somebody in the Springfield, Missouri area, am I doing them a favor? Which is the best thing I'm doing for them? Getting them to make a decision now and help them have 4 or 5 people in the event, or getting them in at the event? Before. I'm doing them a favor. I'm helping them launch their business. So if you guys will step back and get again, treat it like a business, get a little organized, start looking 3 weeks out, start planting seeds, because it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 exposures for a person to make a decision. It's going to take them a little time to get people to make a decision too. But all of a sudden they can show up at that regional with 2, 3, or 4 or 5 people with them. They launch their business. They literally can go fast, start qualified in one meeting, if not before they get there. Okay, you helped a person launch their business. If in these next 90 days, all you did was take 100% what I just told you and did it, you'd be shocked. And not one thing I said here you can't do. It's easy to do. But it takes coordination. It takes organization. It takes discipline. It does, okay? But it's not hard. It's way easier than going to a job for 8 hours a day. Way easier, okay? Way easier. I mean, a person at a job for 8 hours a day, What I just described to you is 3 hours a day, maybe 4 hours a day. It's not 8 hours a day, okay? And it's in your underwear at home, okay? I'm serious. So don't go, ooh, that looks like work. No, that looks like freedom, okay? Because once you do it, and you teach a few people to do it, and they teach a few people to do it, it's amazing what's happening in your organization all of a sudden. All of a sudden think about it, now you've got 5 solid people in your organization, and they're all, when they get somebody, they're getting 10, and they're acting like the expert in 5 or different organizations, and this person's working their 10, they're not working that 10, they're working that 10. Also, you got 5 different people working 10s, okay? So you got 50, 10 times 5, you got 50 working here, and 50 exposures here, and 50 and 50 and 50. Okay, and they're working those things, and you're sitting back here working with them, starting your other ones. You got some serious stuff going on, real serious stuff. Okay, whatever your organization, your organization looks out there, and there's all these regionals, and you got this person working in front of that one, this person working in front of that one, this working in front of that one, and all of a sudden, every Saturday, you got a person launching over there, and a person launching over there, and a person launching over there, versus a person being recruited over there, recruited over there, recruited over there. You got launches going on all over the country. Now, you do this, the whole goal is to stay on top of it, and when you show up in Dallas, what do? You bring all your new peeps together, all your new peepee friends, peeps, okay? Peeps, okay? But you bring them together. So you bring them all together, okay? But the thing is but all of a sudden you show up with a whole bunch of new people. And at that regional, all of a sudden, you're going to meet this person and that person and this person. And what are you doing at that national event? You're looking for the next person who gets it. Next person who gets it. That's all this is going through the process, find a person who gets it. We don't ignore people. We love everybody. We embrace everybody. But you basically got to work with people who want to work with you. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. You just got to find these people, and they show up, okay? And if you learn how to mine, they show up all over the place. If you just take those 3 things, 2 a day, I think with third-party tools, the magazine, the Real Results Party, okay, and I mean the 10 and play, 2-a-day 10 and play, I call it, okay, the Real Results Regionals, the packet, and making sure you work with people on that, and in that packet, you have the 2-a-day and 10 and play in the regional, and then using in the Real Results Party, and then use the regionals as a way to launch your business. Every person here can show up depending on who you are. Personally, just forget your large organization people. I'm just talking about you, every person individually can show up with, 30 to 100 new, warm people in your organization at that event who've come in the right way, okay? Because half of your training is done by the way that you are what? Exposed. And I'm teaching how to expose somebody. When I'm getting in there, and I did those 10 people, and I took responsibility, got those out, and I took responsibility, made the next 50, 5 times 10 each happen, those 50 exposures, that is exposure. I train that person watching me do it, how to do that. When I let go, they're going to know how to do that. It's very simple stuff, okay? And again, but that's how I came up a long time ago with those 2 lines. Slow down to go fast, and master the mundane. Actually, my first line was, slow down to smell the roses. That's what I used to say. We got to learn how to slow down. I go, when everybody else is running fast, and I used to get in front of my group and draw out what most groups look like, and then what our group's going to look like. And ours would be real disciplined lines, and over here was helter-skelter. Everybody's just throwing stuff and hoping, throwing and hoping, and we're going to slow down. They're moving way faster than us at first, it looks like, because they're just throwing stuff all around. We're here very disciplined, putting it out there, and it just starts, boom, boom, and it just takes off. That's kind of what's happened to this company here. We did not do any of the games. We just kind of took our time. We rolled it out. We tried to do it right. And all of a sudden, this groundswell took off, and then boom, it went up, okay? You've all seen that curve we have. If you went to $10,000 in income a month, at the rate that the company grew in its first year, the fastest growing company in the history of the industry, and your 6th month in your first year, you're going to make $10,000. Your 6th month in, I think you're at $1,800. So you're halfway through, and you're not even 20% there, and all of a sudden you go there. Because what happened is you're setting in a solid structure, and all of a sudden it took off. That's what's happened to this company. So, what I just say to all of you is, I wasn't going to come up here and train, but I've been sitting back watching. I was going, this group, we got everything we need. We got the story, we got the tools, we got the training, we got the people, we got the company, we got the product, we got the space. We got everything, okay? I think what it needs to do is just get disciplined. Real simple thing, just buckle down and get really disciplined, okay? And if we'll do that and just use what we got, we don't need to invent nothing new. We don't need anything new. What we need to do is just change our attitude into a kind of a disciplined attitude and follow a regimented system. I think it can explode your business. That's really all I want for you guys, is explode your business so you can get everything you want. So these are really neat times right now. We are the hottest name in the industry. I mean, the talk I did yesterday, kind of that talk was a neat talk to do because it was the truth. And I really am not putting that challenge out, but if I was the CEO of another company, I wouldn't want to respond to that talk because they have no place to go. It's like it painted them into a corner. It really did. They're in a corner. There's like, how can I respond? I built a whole model on front loading. I built a whole model on all this inventory stuff. I built this whole gamesmanship model out there. These guys done this. They've done everything with integrity, with character, done everything right. They built customers, doing all this stuff. They're painted into a corner. I mean, it's amazing what we have. We have everything in place. We're a beautiful, beautiful company. The most important thing we have in place is the most amazing culture I've seen in this industry ever in my life, out there at all, okay? And so, I mean, we don't need to search for anything else. We need to just take what we got and just absolutely lock down and do it solid. It's the 8-point box and just live inside of it for the next 90 days and you have everything you want.